Hello and welcome to
Nonsense Rumble!
Yes. We kind of gloss over the explanation, but today one is necessary. Today the category is Naval Commander, which means much like with the Strategist episode, we're going to have a pitched battle. So each commander commands a fleet of ships. We'll say like 5 apiece, so it's not massive, but big enough to potentially have a swing.
Yeah, you get a sample fleet that is a standardized force.
Absolutely. What level of tech do you want to use? Are we using old school naval vessels or are we using modern day battleships?
My one uses old school.
So does mine, so we'll stick to old school. That's great. Awesome.
Yeah, sails.
Yeah, so sails and cannons rather than F-42 bombers on craft carriers.
Ironclads and aircraft carriers, yeah.
Yeah, but before we get out carried away, we should actually probably do our honourable mentions. Do you have one this week, Rick?
This week I don't, because this was such a standout that I struggled to pick anyone else. So, do you have an honourable mention this week?
I do not have an honourable mention because I struggled enough just to get my pick, despite suggesting the category.
Sure.
So yeah, let's get down to brass tacks then. Rick, who is your pick for Naval Commander?
Mine is one Edward Newgate. This is a One Piece character, otherwise known as Whitebeard.
Okay. I'm familiar with Whitebeard in the sense that I know the name and I know the character's a badass, and it was a big deal when they died.
Yeah, he dies standing up, taking multiple hundreds of gunshot and sword wounds, and a couple of cannons, and like half his head gets burnt off, like before he dies, and not a single wound to his back because he never turned his back on an enemy.
Fair enough.
And as a testament to his leadership, both the whole world government was prepared to deploy their entire fleet against him, and pretty much all the heavenly kings of the sea, because they saw him as that much of a threat. And as soon as he died, his territories were deemed no longer dangerous, even though the rest of his crew was still alive.
Okay, because they didn't have the skill, they didn't have the talent, and they didn't have the drive. Is that the logic? Yeah,
they didn't have the leadership. And okay, we weren't essentially going to include the commander themselves as a fighter in this because they're a commander rather than a fighter.
We can include their signature ship as the flagship, I think, if that's what you're going for.
Well, I was more a case of because it's a shonen, he's also got shonen powers as well, so like he can make earthquakes and all that shit. So we're not using that.
Yeah, that's all very cool, but we're going for strategic acumen rather than abilities in a fight.
Yeah, so he was seen as being like a bastion of leadership. Which inspired a hell of a lot of loyalty in his crew, which would probably be able to translate rather quickly to a sample crew.
Yeah, well, we're assuming that the crew is as if they are the crew of the character in canon, because otherwise it's just like at that point you're just relying on fucking a bit of luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the commander and you get the relevant skills of the crew. Obviously, you don't get magical anime powers because that would break the system, especially against my character.
Yeah. Who's going to be your pick?
My pick is none other than... Oh, Rick, I'm glad I'm doing this podcast with you, because I'm pretty sure you're the only overfucker who knows this character. It's Horatio Hornblower.
Oh, shit. Man, I remember that from a long-ass time ago.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this is a role from fucking OG Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know he played that character because he looked so different without curly hair.
Yeah, man. Oh, jeez. I remember this being, like, on telly, like, when I was still in school.
Yeah, so I watched this on DVD because I bought the box set for £10.
Yeah.
So you had Sharp, and Hornblower was basically Sharp, but naval.
Yeah, wet Sharp.
But yeah, like Hornblower time after time shows his skill in naval combat and more importantly his virtue as a man.
Yeah.
That being said, I believe it's like the third. They're movie length, but it's an episode because it's a TV show. The third TV show where he captures a French galley. And the thing the Frenchman says when he surrenders is, "You play really hard and fast with the rules of war, sir." Because he he does this thing which is super not meant to do in warfare, where he doesn't fly a country flag until he is right about to board the enemy French ship, when he quickly runs up the Union Jack. And it's like, the Frenchman allows it, but that is technically a war crime. So, Again, we're using naval, or rather the Age of Sail level ships, so cannons and sails, and Hornblower is very much... Here's the thing, is I think I might have shot myself in the foot a bit, because Hornblower is a confident admiral level commander in the books, eventually, but in the TV show he caps out at captain of a small fleet, which 5 on 5 he might do okay, but I think as far as years of experience go, Whitebeard might have him by a year or two.
Yeah, like Whitebeard is kind of like the honorary / actual grandfather of a bunch of other crews that spawn from him, essentially.
Okay.
He was a contemporary of Gold Roger, who was the actual king of the pirates. And if he wanted to, he could have taken that title, but he was a friend, so he didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So after Gold Roger got executed, he chose not to take the title.
So here's the thing: is I think this matchup is a classic matchup of experience and wisdom versus fucking Maverick.
Yeah.
So the only the main question is going to be, I think in a straight up naval conflict between the two commanders, I think they'd be very even, especially to start with. I think it all depends on how Whitebeard will deal with Hornblower doing stupid Hornblower shit.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think he's pretty well versed in that as well, because he's got anime pirates as subordinates.
Okay, but you know what I mean, Rick.
Yeah. Like, I think he will have seen a lot of it before in different ways, if not perfectly. So he'll probably have a decent handle on how to counter things that he's had to deal with before.
I think because unfortunate reality is I don't know a lot about Whitebeard. And also I am heavily biased towards Hornblower because of course I am. He's my pick. Think we're going to have to flip a coin for it.
Yeah.
Can you summon the coin, Rick?
I'm thinking Whitebeard wins. You're thinking Hornblower wins.
So I think you can do the honours and flip the coin. I will pick tails.
You're picking tails. Flip a coin. Come on, Google. Flipping, tails.
Alrighty. We're going to give it to Hornblower with the massive caveat of I am biased and not willing to budge. Rick is biased and not willing to budge. So...
And, this is one where you can't fall back on the anime side either.
If you could fall back on the anime side... Okay, here's the caveat. If you could fall back on the anime side, which we disqualified when we started, then Whitebeard wins without fucking question.
Yeah.
However, let me put it this way. Again, using the if rule. If it was Hornblower against Captain Jack Sparrow instead of Commodore Norrington, I think Hornblower would have won.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Because Hornblower wouldn't have gotten emotionally involved.
Yeah, I get you.
But, I'm giving it to Hornblower because the coin toss dictates it, and we're both pig-headed fools. And on that bombshell, join us again next week for another
Nonsense Rumble! See you later, everybody.